back to Love Your Food. This week we have a delicious breakfast or brunch option for you. This is Huevos Rancheros. And we're going to use some of the carnitas that we made last week as a garnish on this, but the big deal here is the Ranchero sauce, which is a beautiful tomato-based sauce. It's very similar to the sofrito we used for the Mexican rice, and we're going to start off with our ingredients. So here we have some eggs, obviously, for our huevos. We have some refried beans, some of those delicious carnitas that we made last week, some nice crispy fried corn tortillas, some tomatoes, some oregano, some allspice and clove, some dried hot peppers. Now we're going to reconstitute these, so we're going to soak those in water for a little while. Some onion and some garlic. So we're going to get started by grinding up our dry spices. Now you'll notice we are not including the dried peppers because, as I said earlier, we are going to reconstitute those. We're going to put those in some water, let them soak for a little while, and meanwhile we're going to grind these pretty fine. And then we're going to grind up the rest of these ingredients. So the tomatoes, the onion, the garlic is all going to get just blended together. So we're going to use our stick blender to get all this nice and smooth. So we want to get everything in there, just small enough pieces that that it's easier to blend. And it doesn't have to be all in one batch. If you have more material than you have in your blending cup or that will fit in your blender, you can do this in 2 batches. We had to do it in 2 different batches. It helps to have a very sharp knife for this. And that's all going to pop right into our blender cup. On top of that, we are going to add in our dried, but now reconstituted hot peppers. So you can see they are nice and damp now. And do not throw the liquid away. So reserve the liquid of these hot peppers because we're going to use that later. It's a lot of flavor and some heat, and it adds a lot of interesting flavors to that. We're going to add in our ground dry spices as well. So that's the oregano, clove, and allspice. And then we're just going to blend this. So we're going to take our stick blender. If you have a regular blender, that will work just fine for this. And we are going to get that nice and smooth. And as I said before, if you have more than will fit into your blender or into a blender cup like this, then feel free to do it more than once. So you can see here, we've got it nice and smooth in there now. So that's all been blended together. All those beautiful flavors are all nicely mingled. We're going to add some of that beautiful hot pepper water. And we want to strain the seeds out because it's not a very nice texture. But we're just going to get all of that beautiful flavor. It's going to be a little hotter. It's going to kick it up just a bit. And we had to set this aside because, as I said, we had a little bit too much to fit into our cup. So we are going to put some of it aside, and then we're just going to do this again. So this is a very similar technique to some that we've done recently. So it's similar to the pepián and similar to the Mexican rice where you make this sofrito, which is basically what we're doing here. Our pan got a little too hot, but we do want to cook this down some. So into the pan it goes with a little bit of oil, and we're going to cover that so that it doesn't splatter everywhere. And you can see here it's starting to reduce. We're starting to get some of that, some of the liquid out. It's getting a little thicker, and we do want this to thicken quite significantly. So just give it a little stir every once in a while. Make sure that nothing's sticking or anything. And then when it gets a little closer to where you want it, that's when you start cooking your eggs. So you can see here it has reduced rather a lot. It is thickening really, really nicely. So once it's about the consistency that you're looking for, we're just going to set that aside. It's finished cooking, so we're just going to put that into a bowl and get it ready for presentation. And you can see in the background our eggs are cooking nicely there, and everything's just about ready to go. Unfortunately, we made a little bit of a mess on our stovetop. We will clean that up though. We do want to heat up our carnitas just a little bit. So this just came out of the fridge, so all of the fat, of course, is solidified at this point. So we're just going to mush that into our pan a little bit and get it nice and warm. Let the fat melt a little bit and get it nice and really nice and delicious. And then we're just going to get our plate together. So we're going to start with a little bit of refried beans. We've got these beautiful fried, crispy corn tortillas. These are actually our homemade ones, but you can buy tostadas that are just full-size, crispy corn tortillas, and that's definitely what we recommend for this. On top of that, we're going to add our sunny side up eggs. Now, you can do a fried egg for this. You can do an over easy or an over medium. We just think the sunny side up looks a little nicer. We're going to add a little bit of that carnitas around the outside. It's nice and got a little bit of a crispy outside. It's just a beautiful, beautiful flavor. We've included some of that beautiful roast garlic in that as well from the original recipe. And then on top of that is going to be our beautiful ranchero sauce. So this is finished cooking. We set it aside. It's still nice and hot. And that's just going to go right on top of everything. And then ideally, we're going to garnish that with a little bit of cilantro. Cilantro is a really nice flavor to go with this, so we're just going to give it a little bit of cilantro on top and add some color, add some flavor. Is absolutely delicious. And that's it. Super, super simple. Again, this is very similar to some of the recipes we've made recently that include a sofrito like the Mexican rice or the pepian, where you make the tomato mixture and cook it down for a little while before adding it to your final recipe. And that's sort of the secret of the ranchero sauce, is you want all those beautiful flavors to cook together and the sauce to thicken. So if you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe. And if you have any recipes you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. And remember to love your food.